Never go to the second location. Always trust your gut.
Hello, my name is Chrissy Champagne. You are listening to Residue, a true crime podcast dedicated to keeping you paranoid. Residue is not just another true crime podcast, but a necessary tool for those who want to understand the dangers lurking in the real world. Residue is created, hosted, edited, researched, and produced by me, Chrissy Champagne. So for the next few weeks, we are going to try and focus on those made-for-television films that we all loved from the 80s and 90s, the ones that were actually based on true stories. But we got to get to a little business before we start today's episode. And one thing I wanted to ask you guys, I've been thinking I need to give a name to my listeners. Almost every true crime podcast has a name that they call their listeners, and I just need your help. So if you have any ideas, you guys can shoot them my way at Instagram, Residue Podcast, TikTok, Residue, a True Crime Pod. I also have a Chrissy Champagne TikTok, and you can even just email me at residuepodcast@gmail.com. And do not forget to, so tomorrow may rain, so I'll follow the sun. Hit that follow button. And it is becoming increasingly more difficult for me to find songs with the word follow in it. So just maybe send some of those suggestions my way also. Also, you guys, you know that the best thing you could ever do is leave me a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify or Amazon Music. I just mailed out a bunch of stickers this weekend to some fabulous people that wrote the greatest reviews. Incredible. Made my entire day. And right before we jump into this week's episode, you know that I always have to warn you, listener discretion is advised. Today, we will be talking about the made-for-television film No One Would Tell, starring Fred Savage and Candace Cameron Bure. But this is actually a film based on the true story of Amy Carnevale. No One Would Tell is a 1996 made-for-television film directed by Noel Nosek and written by Stephen Loring. And this originally premiered on NBC on May 6th, 1996. This movie starred Fred Savage as Bobby Tennyson and Candace Cameron as Stacy. But the original story is based on the tragic real-life case of 14-year-old Amy Carnevale, who was physically abused and ultimately murdered by her 16-year-old boyfriend, Jamie Fuller, on August 23, 1991, in Beverly, Massachusetts. This film was later remade in 2018, starring Shannon Doherty. Amy Carnevale was 14 years old. She was sweet, kind, pretty, popular. She dreamed of one day becoming a hairdresser. Born on April 13th, 1977, to her mother Cynthia and her father Michael. She also had a brother named Christopher, who was 4 years older than her, and the family lived in Beverly, Massachusetts for a while, but Amy's parents divorced when she was around age 6. And when her parents got divorced, Amy moved with her mother to another town, but eventually they were led back to Beverly, Massachusetts. In August of 1991, Amy was so excited because she was about to begin high school. She was going to be a freshman, and she was already accepted onto the high school cheerleading team. Amy had an on-again, off-again boyfriend named Jamie Fuller. Now, she met Jamie at age 12. Jamie is 2 years older than her, so at this point, Amy is 14 and Jamie is 16. But this relationship was not healthy. It was very toxic, and Amy was starting to see it, and she was starting to pull away a little bit, but Jamie wasn't having it. And now, if you've seen the movie No One Would Tell, the character, Bobby, that Fred Savage plays, he's nothing like the real Jamie. I mean, in the abusive sense, yes, but popularity-wise, no. So in the movie, Fred's character is a popular jock. He's on the wrestling team. But in real life, Jamie Fuller was an amateur bodybuilder. He was about to be a sophomore, and he wasn't popular at all. He was this skinny little kid. He was a troublemaker. All of his friends were troublemakers. And since he was so skinny in high school, he was sick of being picked on. He decided he's going to lift weights. he's going to get bigger. And so he started taking steroids. And now this boy was already an asshole. You throw steroids at age 16 into this mix, and not to mention, Jamie was a big fan of drinking whiskey. He's going to have just a terrible personality. Jamie and Amy had this horribly unhealthy relationship. It wasn't uncommon for friends to witness Jamie abusing Amy in front of them. I'm talking physically and emotionally, verbally. He's always putting Amy down. He's always embarrassing her. He controlled every aspect of her life, and she was not allowed to be friends with any boys, like at all. So on August 22nd, 1991, Amy goes to the beach with some friends and Jamie loses his shit. He says to his friends that he will kill Amy so no one else could have her. And his friends are just laughing it off. Hence the name of the movie, No One Would Tell, because his friends had been hearing this shit for at least a year. Jamie's constantly saying that he's going to kill Amy. If he can't have her, no one can. And nobody says anything. Everyone just thinks, oh, well, that's Jamie for you. I've never had a friend say they were going to kill the person they were dating when I was 14 years old. So it is the day after Amy has gone to the beach with some friends. Jamie's mother says Jamie sat at home all day drinking whiskey and calling Amy over and over and over. And now he gets a hold of Amy and he is begging her, please come over. I really need a haircut. I mean, it was Amy's dream to become a hairdresser and she loved cutting people's hair. She said it came naturally to her. So Jamie's luring her over like, come on, I just need your help. But Jamie's also telling his friends, hey guys, this is the day that I'm going to kill Amy. I'm luring her over. Do you guys want to come? And they're like, oh yeah, hell yeah. I talk about these stories all the time, and may these types of friends never find any of us. So Amy meets up with Jamie. He has some friends with him, and the group decides to take a walk in the woods behind Jamie's house. Jamie separates Amy from this group, and they walk alone along this wooded path. While they are separated, the friends say that they could hear Amy's screams. Moments after hearing these screams and doing nothing, Jamie comes back to the group. He is covered in blood. His arms are covered in blood, and he is smirking. And he just says, it's done. And then he warned them, if you say anything, you're next. And then Jamie described what he did to Amy. So he walks Amy into the woods alone, and he tells her that he loves her, and then he shoves a knife into her stomach. Then he goes behind her and shoves a knife into her back. Then he cuts her throat, and she's on the ground, and she's begging, and she's saying, Jamie, I love you. And that is when Jamie stomps on her head. And he tells his friends he did this to silence her because she was making noises, she was talking, and he didn't want to hear it. The friends that were with Jamie that day were named Dominic Sciola, Mark Demule, Michael Mallett, and Scott Ward. So after they hear what Jamie did, these boys all go back to Dominic Sciola's house, and they have some Kool-Aid. And it was reported that when Jamie was drinking his Kool-Aid, his red Kool-Aid, he said, oh yeah, this is right for the occasion. And before Jamie left that house, he warned all those boys, if you tell anyone you saw what happened, you're going to be next. So that same day, this group of boys worked together to dispose of Amy Carnevale's body. And they placed her in 2 trash bags. They secured them with 2 cinder blocks, and they used lobster line. And I read that lobster line was used because it doesn't fray in water, and this is used to tie everything together. And that is when Jamie and his friend Michael then threw Amy's body into a pond called Shoe Pond. It was also reported that when Jamie and Michael threw Amy's body over the fence and into the pond, Jamie said, "Sucks to be you, Amy. If you guys don't already want to pummel Jamie." Whew. It always makes me wonder, like, what kind of household did you grow up in? How did you become this monster? 14-year-old Amy is reported missing almost immediately. And of course, police are going to say, well, maybe she ran away. And her parents are like, hell no. This has to be Jamie Fuller. This has to be this boy that she has been dating. And so police do go to Jamie's house, and right away, Jamie's like, I don't know where she is. I haven't seen her. He just completely denies any knowledge of ever seeing her or knowing where she could be. And he even helps join in the search effort. So it's 5 days after Amy's murder. It is now August 28th. This is when Jamie's friend Michael, who helped dispose of her body, he leads police to Amy's body at Shoe Pond. And that is when Jamie Fuller is arrested. And at the time of Jamie Fuller arrest, witnesses say that he was smirking. Again with the smirking, and he even looked to be chuckling as police were escorting him into the police station. So all of Jamie's friends are interviewed, and Michael actually says that he was very scared of Jamie, and he was only helping because he was really scared. But it was further revealed that Michael was laughing about the whole thing. And so Michael is also going to be arrested as an accessory after the fact for murder. All of the guys are interviewed, and they all tell police the same thing, that Jamie's been saying this for a year, so they didn't really think he was being serious. And then police actually end up talking to one of Jamie's ex-girlfriends named Diane, and Diane reveals that he was violent with her. Before he even started dating Amy, he has always been a violent person, before the steroids, before the constant drinking. She says she went through the same situation. He was controlling, he was isolating her, he physically beat her, emotionally abused her. So police can't find any evidence that these other friends actually helped or helped plan. So Dominic was given immunity to testify against Jamie and Michael. Mark wasn't arrested, and then Scott wasn't arrested. While interviewing these friends, the police find out that Jamie was telling his friends that Amy was pregnant. And then he was even offering to give his friends money if they would just walk up to Amy in the hallways and punch her in the stomach. This fucking kid. And I do have to say that even though this was a rumor, it was revealed in Amy's autopsy that she was not pregnant. So Jamie's trial starts, and during trial, the medical examiner reveals that Amy was stabbed with such force that the knife went through her and out the other side. This trial lasted 7 days, and the jury rejected the defense's claim that Jamie Fuller was driven to kill Amy Carnevale by his excessive use of steroids and alcohol. And Jamie Fuller admitted during trial that he did kill Amy Carnevale, but his defense claimed that this excessive use of steroids that were going to be used just to make him bulk up his body, this was what was responsible for making him commit this crime, and that Jamie is not criminally responsible. He was temporarily insane because of his use of steroids. But the prosecution, they stated that this killing was premeditated and it was an act of a jealous boyfriend. This was not an insanity claim. This was a jealous man who would stop at nothing to control his 14-year-old girlfriend that was slipping away from him. Michael Mallet, Jamie's 20-year-old friend who was pleading guilty to disposing of Amy's body, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison, and this was as part of a plea deal. Jamie Fuller's jury only took 6 hours to deliberate, and this was over the course of 2 days. But when they came back, they found Jamie Fuller guilty, and Jamie was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was 16 years old. Now, I do want to state that shortly after this sentencing, the law changed and a minor couldn't be, given the life without parole sentence, but Jamie was retried as an adult, but Jamie Fuller ultimately became eligible for parole. He has continuously been denied. On April 25th, 2024, Jamie was up for parole. I want to just read you what was the decision of the board. They wrote, "This was Mr. Fuller's first hearing before the board. Mr. Fuller was 16 at the time of the offense. He is now 49 years old. Mr. Fuller identified several adverse childhood experiences as contributing factors to the offense. Mr. Fuller was on probation for violent offenses at the time of the murder. Mr. Fuller began receiving mental health services as early as age 6 due to behavioral issues that were related to significant dysfunction in his family. And Mr. Fuller was identified in early evaluations as developing issues with attachment, depression, and anxiety, which led to daily substance abuse by the age of 14. The board reviewed the most recent evaluation of Mr. Fuller, and this outlined his history of prior evaluations and treatment. Mr. Fuller disclosed a significant history of trauma and abuse. Mr. Fuller has sought to address his complex mental health issues via programming, and the board notes that he has not had any disciplinary reports since 2006. He was convicted of conspiracy and escape in 1994 when he plotted with his mother to escape from the DOC. Now let's stop right there and let's talk about the fact that Jamie Fuller's mother tried to help him escape from prison. Now, this is from an August 12th, 1993 news article. In August 1993, Celeste Fuller, the mother of convicted teen killer Jamie Fuller, was arrested and formally charged for allegedly orchestrating an escape plot to free her son from a Massachusetts prison. According to prosecutors, she conspired with Edward Goulding to obtain a firearm, first attempting to acquire an Uzi and later a .38 caliber handgun to facilitate her son Jamie's breakout. The plan involved, reportedly, Jamie stabbing himself while incarcerated so that he would have to be taken to the hospital. This is where his mother and Goulding would ambush prison guards and help Jamie escape. But unbeknownst to them, the gunmen they arranged were undercover officers. So facing charges included attempted escape, and Celeste Fuller was held on a $50,000 cash bail, and if she was convicted, she could face up to 15 years in prison. So this escape plan actually added 9 years to Jamie's already life sentence, and I believe his mother Celeste spent 12 months in jail. So yeah, that question I asked earlier, what kind of home did this kid grow up in? We got a little bit of an answer. Now, to go back to this decision of the board that I was reading to you, they also state that Jamie had prior affiliations with a white supremacy gang, and he denied all of those affiliations. And he says that he is a practicing Buddhist, which he has been studying for approximately 20 years. And the board noted that Jamie has been sober since 1991. And they said, given the extraordinarily violent nature of the offense, the board recommends he engage in opportunities that will address domestic violence, victim empathy, trauma, and emotional awareness. The board considered the expert evaluation and testimony of Jamie's doctor in rendering this decision, and Mr. Fuller's aunt also spoke in support of the parole, but 3 of Amy Carnevale's family members also spoke in opposition to the parole, and parole was denied in 2024 to Jamie Fuller. Amy Carnevale should have been a high school cheerleader, a hairstylist, a young woman with her whole life ahead of her. But instead, she became a cautionary tale and the real-life inspiration behind the 1996 TV movie No One Would Tell. Amy's story is one of love turned violent, red flags ignored, and friends who stayed silent. And that silence was deadly. Stay safe and stay paranoid.